Making headlines tonight. The United Kingdom lays Queen Elizabeth II to rest. Full face-to-face classes resume for primary and secondary school students. A bird flu outbreak in the region prompts a UWI official to issue a warning to poultry farmers. And coming up in sports, the Kings move into the second spot behind Royals as the CPL shifts to the final leg for 2022.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. Queen Elizabeth II has been laid to rest after a state funeral attended by world leaders and a final journey through the streets of London today. Barbados President, the Most Honourable Dame Sandra Mason, was among several world leaders present at Westminster Abbey for the state funeral.
On a day when little stirred, the roads and the airspace shut, the cortege of Queen Elizabeth II assembled for the first stage of its ultimate journey. Leaving Westminster Hall, where she'd lain in state, the coffin, draped in the royal standard, bore the imperial crown, the orb and sceptre, and flowers chosen by the king. The crown would later be removed, a symbolic detachment of the Queen from the throne she occupied for 70 years. But not yet. Not before King Charles III had led his family, the country and global figures in bidding her farewell. In Westminster Abbey, where kings and queens across the ages have been crowned, married and buried.
Here, where Queen Elizabeth was married and crowned, we gather from across the nation, from the Commonwealth, and from the nations of the world, to mourn our loss.
The Queen's reign spanned 14 US presidents, from Harry S. Truman to Joe Biden, present here with his wife Jill. And she met regularly with 15 British prime ministers. The last, Liz Truss, invited by the Queen to form a government just 2 days before her death. In his sermon, the Archbishop of Canterbury recalled the Queen's life of service and faith.
Service in life, hope in death. All who follow the Queen's example and inspiration of trust and faith in God can with her say, "We will meet again."
The funeral service was relatively brisk, as the Queen herself had decreed. The hymns chosen by her included a personal favourite, "The Lord is my shepherd." It ended with 2 minutes of silence, observed in parks and public spaces across the country. Then a rendition of the national anthem, "God Save the King" now. And a lament by the Queen's personal piper.
Instances of physical abuse, unqualified staff, and a need for relocation are among the key findings of the departmental inquiry into the Government Industrial School. A report of the findings and accompanying recommendations are revealed today by Chair of the Inquiry, Oral Williams, during a press conference at the Ministry of Home Affairs. The probe was launched in May this year after several allegations of abuse and mistreatment surfaced from past and present wards of the institution. A total of 89 people appeared before the panel and 109 interviews were conducted, including with past and present residents and staff members, medical personnel who interacted with residents and the public. Mr. Williams confirmed the findings point to a few cases of physical abuse.
Corporal punishment, although provision is made for it in the old legislation, the document produced by Lucy Dawes and the ministry has said no more corporal punishment. But there was at least 1 or 2 instances where there was abuse, physical abuse, to residents by members of staff.
Mr. Williams could not say more on this matter so as to not prejudice any legal matters, as the report is to be sent to the Commissioner of Police. Another interesting discovery was that several staff members employed by the JS lacked the necessary qualifications and expertise to do the jobs they hold. A staff audit is to be conducted, and the panel has recommended that those staff members deemed unfit be redeployed elsewhere in the public service. The report also recommends government accelerate the process of enacting new child justice legislation, as the current one has been in place since 1926. In response, Minister of Home Affairs Wilfred Abrams said the new legislation should be brought before Cabinet soon.
I'm hesitant to give times. I would tell you certainly before the end of the year, right? And I would like to be in a position to tell you a lot shorter than that, but that is one of the #1 priorities of this government at this point in time, to be able to create that legislative framework, have it dealt with, done with, so we can get rid of the charge of wandering. That's a principle one for us. So we can put things in place to identify at-risk youth and keep them out of the system, that we can provide the care for our young people and provide the facilities recommended to facilitate that care and to promote change in behavioral practices, right? And not simply seek to figure out what to do with them once they've been arrested and charged.
Mr. Abrams also provided an update on plans to move female wards from Barrow St. Lucie to the facility at Dodd St. Philip, which currently houses their male counterparts.
We had expected the completion of the renovations by, I think, the 9th of September this year. But the thing, Dodge is an old facility. It's an old building. Anybody who knows about trouble in those old buildings is that you start to dig into a wall and then you discover things that you didn't know. So we were asked for an extension of time to the end of this month to complete the renovations. They're pushing ahead. A lot of the principal facilities are in the 90% complete zone. There are a couple that we've identified some other issues with, and we're looking to get those done as quickly as possible. But as I said, it is a priority for us to close down Barrows with all the stigmas attached to it.
The full news conference will be repeated at 9:03 tonight. All year levels at the Lawrence T. Gay Memorial School are back in face-to-face sessions at Spooners Hill compound, after being split up at different locations because of environmental complaints. Wendy Burke tells us that the Minister of Education and education officials made it their priority this morning as they checked on work done in the summer. Staff and students greeted the new principal.
There were no unusual or bothersome odors at Lawrence T. Gay Memorial Primary School this morning, as officials checked up on the work done over the summer holidays to rectify that situation and refurbish the block, which the majority of complaints were coming. Minister Kay McConney and other officials gathered at the Spooners Hill School to make sure there were no issues as the entire island returns to full face-to-face sessions. She said the Ministry of Health has been very thorough.
They have done tremendous amounts of tests. They have been here on several occasions, including last week, Thursday. They were here, and this morning, they were also here. One of the reasons, too, why it was important for us to be here as a ministry, I wanted to be physically here in this environment to ensure that there were no odors, that there was nothing in this environment that will cause us to have to take a different route. Now, of all of the tests that have been done, they've not been able to diagnose where the problem is yet.
Meanwhile, they set other things in order at the school with major renovations, and they wanted to see how the children settled.
We were happy to look and see that this block where we're standing now was refurbished last year. This year, Block D, over the Clark block, I'm told this is called, over on the eastern side, was fixed this year. There were new tiles. The handrails were strengthened and painted. New doors were installed. New frames were in. New flooring was in. So we continued to invest in Lawrence D. Gay to create the best kind of learning environment that is safe and that is conducive to the learning of these children.
Along with the facelift, this school also got a new principal in Brent Blackett. He thanked everyone who pushed the reopening efforts and said he has lots of plans in store, including the return to an agricultural program.
It was quite a push, but we managed to get everything done. Hard-working people like Mr. Codrington and his team and so on, and we got everything done. I also want to salute my teachers for sticking in there for the efforts that they have made during the last school year. It wasn't easy, but they managed to get the job done. And I am determined, as I take up the mantle here, I am determined to go forward and push programs that will bring the school back to its former glory.
The principal added that the intake this year was 46 in reception and 20 transfers. But they're keeping the doors open as they look to get the children to return because there are no issues on the school compound now. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
Thanks, Mandy. While first form students across the island entered their new schools for the first time this morning, one school in particular had a special surprise for their first-time pupils. The sound of a royal fanfare filled the air in Waterford as Combermere School welcomed its new students in spectacular fashion this morning. Parents watched on as their children entered the school gates and were sprinkled with what the old scholars call Combermere fairy dust. Former student and West Indies Test captain Craig Brathwaite was on hand to take photos and encourage the new students.
Combermere, means everything to me, and to be here to just, lend support to obviously the newcomers, I will always be for that.
New principal Julia Beckles, along with other members of staff, greeted the new students. Ms. Beckles says, having read that Combermere is now the school of choice in Barbados, she will be making every effort to lead a team to ensure that position remains.
That will involve developing leaders, both at the level of my colleagues and the student population. Certainly, it will have to do with reaping success, wanting success and helping to facilitate success for our students, especially our male students. Of course, ensuring that our colleagues also find their own professional success while they are here. And I think that will help us to remain aligned. That is the nexus that would allow for our deeds, our objectives to converge. And so together, the hope is that we will be a unified organization working always for the betterment of Combermere School.
The Welcome Initiative was spearheaded by the school's Board of Management, and the chairman, Dr. Alison Leacock, says the activity signals new beginnings at Combermere.
The suggestion that we welcome the students with the principal and the team from the first year teaching staff was actually coordinated by the chair of our PR and Innovation Subcommittee of the board. And as a result, we had all of the participants were old Combermereans. So we had stilt walkers, we had trumpeters, and what we thought would be equally memorable for first year students was the opportunity for them to have photo ops with Junior Monarch Tay, who is a student here at Combermere, as well as the West Indies captain, Craig Brathwaite. So that was a warm welcome for parents and children who we understand would have been a little apprehensive, nervous, and excited. And we hope the excitement of that helped them to usher in a new era into Combermere School, the University of Waterford.
Combermere welcomed 180 new students this year. Well, we're hearing that the Barbados Union of Teachers is tonight frustrated with the approach taken by the Ministry of Education to the issue of school repairs. In a statement from the union, President Rudy Lovell says some teachers were without furniture today at some schools. He said media reports today informed of at least 3 schools not opening due to incomplete renovations. He added there are reports from teachers who are without suitable furniture or any at all, which exposes teachers to the onset of musculoskeletal disorders. Coming up, we'll tell you why a UWI official is warning farmers. A new outbreak in the region has prompted a fresh warning to farmers. Pay more attention to enhancing biosecurity protocols to safeguard your poultry and other livestock. The call from Director for the Center of Biosecurity Studies at the UWI Cavell campus, Dr. Kirk Douglas, comes on the heels of the bird flu outbreak in Belize. He's been monitoring the situation there and says it's cause for concern. Dr. Douglas tells CBC News not many small farmers pay attention to these fine details, which can safeguard their investments from being wiped out in the blink of an eye.
It underscores the importance of biosecurity, especially on farms. And this is not only for poultry, but you have also in terms of pork production and pig farms. Anywhere you have livestock and you have large numbers of these livestock, it is very important to put into place these biosecurity measures. It goes a long way in preventing disease and also in terms of food safety, because it's not only the animals, but it's also the food. But for bird flu, I want to really specify that even though bird flu would be present or may be present in poultry, once the poultry is actually cooked thoroughly, there's no threat of persons being harmed by bird flu.
Dr. Douglas has also revealed his intention to assist local farmers in beefing up their surveillance and biosecurity measures.
We'll reach out to the Barbados Egg and Poultry Association and see how we can, arrange for some talks, some webinars, some workshops for these farmers, because as the old people always say, a stitch in time saves 9. So we are hoping that this can prevent the outbreak of any avian influenza that might be present within the Caribbean from spreading to these backyard poultry farms and having deleterious effects on the farmers.
Barbados has recorded 37 new COVID-19 positive cases. This according to the Ministry of Health and Wellness. 23 males and 14 females tested positive yesterday after 231 tests were conducted. Of the positive cases, 1 person was under the age of 18 and 36 were 18 years and older. There were 32 people in isolation facilities, while 325 were in home isolation. Prime Minister Mia Motley has sought to bring clarity to the circulation of a video making the rounds on social media showing water pouring from the ceiling of the Accident and Emergency Department.
Let me speak to those wicked people who sent about a text today with the A&E with water coming through all the roof. That was long ago. It was fixed after it was built. It was one of the, the snags, defects, and the contractor, I'm told, had to fix it.
Well, Prime Minister Motley has encouraged young people across the globe to hold their governments accountable to bring about changes needed to make the world a better place. Ms. Motley was among a slate of speakers for the annual SDG Moment at the United Nations. The annual event kicks off a week of high-level activities as world leaders gather at UN headquarters in New York to highlight transformative solutions for tackling multiple crises in the world. Prime Minister Motley says the youth are needed in the fight against poverty and the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals.
The first goal, end poverty. The second goal, to make sure that people can eat and that we end hunger. The third goal, to make sure that we can deliver good health for all. The fourth, to provide quality education so that people can think for themselves and lay a platform on which they can build for themselves. The fifth, to achieve gender equality so that whether it is a boy or a girl, or whatever gender you assume, that you have the right to live in this world without fear of discrimination and with opportunities equal to all others. And the staff of life, water, to ensure that there's water for all.
Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres, admits each challenge confronting the world is pushing the attainment of the SDGs out of reach.
In the face of such perils,
It is tempting to put our long-term development priorities to one side, to leave them for a sunny day. But development cannot wait. The education of our children cannot wait. Dignified jobs cannot wait. Full equality for women and girls cannot wait. Comprehensive health care, meaningful climate action, biodiversity protection, these cannot be left for tomorrow. Across all of these areas, young people and future generations are demanding action. We cannot let them down.
Sports time now, we head over to the sports studio and say a very good evening to Anne-Marie Burke.
Good evening to you, Shane, and good evening to our viewers. We begin with cricket news as the West Indies women have started on a losing note in their one international series with New Zealand women in Antigua, going down by 5 runs under the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method. After play was delayed due to wet outfield conditions at the Viv Richards Stadium and the overs reduced to 35 per side, the Windies women sent in to bat posted 168 for 7. Chanel Henry led with 44 while Kaishona Knight backed up with 36. Fran Jonas and Jess Kerr claimed 2 wickets each. In reply, the visitors reached a target on 159 for 5 when Bad Light stopped play to give them the win, as they were ahead of the DLS target score. There was a half-century for Susie Bates when she knocked up 51, while Amelia Kerr ended unbeaten on 47. Captain Hayley Matthews led the Windies bowling attack with 3 for 28. The second ODI is set for Wednesday, again at the North Sound ground. Well, St. Lucia Kings made it 3 wins on the spin in the Hero Caribbean League with a thrilling 1-run victory over the Trinbago Knight Riders last night at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. TKR won the toss and opted to field first, and that decision appeared to have backfired when Johnson Charles struck a breezy 54 off 46 balls to get the team off to a good start. Later on, David Weiss made 33 from 14 as the Kings finished on 147 for 6. Ravi Rampal and Sunil Narain took 2 wickets apiece. Chasing 148 for the win, the Kings bowled well at the final couple of overs to hold TKR to 146. Tim Seifert scored a run-a-ball 44 and Kyron Pollard 34 from 23. Player of the match, Roston Chase, was the pick of the bowlers with 3 for 17, while Azari Joseph took 2 for 26. The Kings are up into second position on 8 points ahead of Jamaica Tallowers by mere net run rate, while the TKR are down in 4th position on 7 points. The tournament shifts to Providence Stadium in Guyana for the final round of matches, where the team, except the host Amazon Warriors, have 2 matches remaining. The Warriors have 4. In the first match of that leg, the Barbados Royals will play the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Live coverage on MCTV's Sportsmax Channel 310. Well, Chelsea Tuat won her women's round 2 heat at the ongoing ISA World Surf Games in Huntington Beach, California. Tuat registered a strong 14.40 points ahead of the UK's Ellie Turner to advance to the next round. Unfortunately, Chelsea Roy was unable to advance out of her first round heat when a 5.53 saw her finish in 3rd. The heat was won by Peru's Saul Aguirre. The men's competition will continue tomorrow as Shea Allen and Caleb Rapson will be in the repechage round 4, and Josh Burke, who also won his round 2 event, advances to the main round of 3.
Barbados is benefiting from the generosity extended to host stranded cruise ships in the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. The island provided berthing and mooring facilities as well as offered resources, food, fuel and water. Tens of thousands were also able to secure flights from the island to their various homelands. Speaking in New York to the diaspora, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley welcomed the compassionate spirit, noting it's up to Barbados to exploit the opportunities. She said the island is actively working to get more Barbadian-made products and supplies on vessels that home port here.
Not just plain milk dairy, but vegetables, other things that we make.
Actually, sort of bring cucumbers also.
Exactly. And we are literally trying to increase the uptake. And that is one of the good things that has come back to us. You know what they say, do good unto others, and it shall attend you.
Barbados has plans to set up a consular office in Dubai and is looking at other missions across the world in the future. The update from Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Senator Dr. the Most Honorable Jerome Walcott during a New York diaspora meeting with Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley. Recently, the island opened a mission in Abu Dhabi. Minister Walcott says Barbados recognizes the importance of the Middle East. Africa is another area where the country sees potential.
We made a conscious decision to look to the east again, from whence the vast majority of us came. Even those that came from the United Kingdom came from the east. And we've made a conscious effort to venture into Africa because of its population, its vast potential, and its proximity to Barbados. I think many of you would not be aware that if it was possible, and you had a daily flight from Dakar in West Africa, from Senegal, it's a straight line to Barbados.
All right, time to head back on over to the sports studio and say good evening to Amory again.
Well, Shane, I have some football news now. CONCACAF President Victor Montagliani says the continued progress of the Caribbean Football Union is a very important element for the growth of the sport in the region. He made the remarks at the opening of the CFU's 45th Ordinary Congress, held via video conference over the weekend, where delegates from the member associations reviewed the administrative, financial, footballing, and governance matters of the organization. Montagliani says the region must be ready and fully focused on the 2026 World Cup set for Canada, Mexico, and the United States. He also congratulated the achievements made by several countries over the last couple of years.
First and foremost, I think it goes without saying, having the Dominican Republic qualify for their first ever World Cup, the U20, and the Olympics is an outstanding achievement. And I think it ranks right up there with one of maybe the greatest runs of a national team that I've seen. So congratulations to the DR. Obviously, we're very proud to have Jamaica and Haiti qualify for the Women's World Cup. Outstanding achievement, and great to see those countries back. But also the work that's been done by all of you and by our member associations in really pushing forward in not only our development programs as the CFU U14s, our own U15s, but also the Nations League and Gold Cup, with some countries on the precipice of going to their first Gold Cup.
The CFU President Randy Harris highlighted several new initiatives implemented over the last year, including the CFU Next Generation Referee course.
In July, we launched the Next Generation Referees course, which identified 25 non-FIFA referees and assistant referees with the requisite skills to matriculate to the next level within a year or two. The intense course opener at the Jamaica Football Federation's Technical Center is followed by the ongoing online fitness and technical training. Many of the match officials were also appointed to the Boys Under 14 Challenge Series held recently in the Dominican Republic, where all 51 referees benefited from year 2 of the developmental program.
Harris also outlined the targets for the coming months, as the CFU reported a small surplus of just $20,000 from 2023, an increase from the $100,000 and $136 for 2022. This year's decline was due mainly to a decrease in sponsorship and the COVID-19 pandemic.
In the coming year, we will add new courses to the CFU Knowledge Zone, continue our digital workshop series, double down on the Next Generation Referee course, continue to grow our brand and extend our visibility and communications reach, place our under 14 girls at center stage, assist our members where and how we can, and even more.
That's our news. Good night and be good. Thanks for visiting us. To get more stories like this one, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.